Welcome everybody to Australia, New South Wales, for the race that doesn't really have a name. I'll call it the Bathurst Downhill Derby because it's going to be a bunch of shenanigans out there. But as always, I am Chad, and here in the booth with me, back in the booth for once, is Ray Kingsbury. Ray, you got out there on track last week, but you're jumping in here this week.
Yeah, Chad, I decided my two favorite tracks were up Lime Rock and Barber. I figured I'd give it a go. Uh, Had a good time. I got fourth. It was fun. Kept up with those guys for about 15 minutes, and then I ran out of talent.
Well, it's not like you had much to begin with. But man, it's great to have you back up here in the booth, and have to thank our sponsor for tonight's race. So that's going to be Our Design sponsoring the event. And who else we got here? We got Penguin RC Simulations for sponsoring the series as well. Got to thank Nitro Circus for helping put all this on. So plenty of great sponsors out there, and overall, it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, can't forget Major's Garage. They've been supporting us this season. One of our lucky members is going to get a full year sub to all their offerings. So that'll be a random person that's racing. I think like basically at least 2/3 of our races across our three series. So you've raced in 20 out of the 30 rounds, you'll be eligible basically.
Yeah, can't really put these events on without all of our fantastic sponsors, but overall, I mean, it's been a great season so far. Last week we saw Michael Janney take the top spot once again, just barely getting out in front of Christian Challoner, and those two guys were the top of practice as well by less than a tenth of a second. So it's going to be a close race, I think. Just gotta see how these guys handle the mountain.
Yeah, no surprise there at all. And we're talking about handling the mountain. One thing is for sure, the cars that have a little bit more horsepower are going to be benefiting today from the high altitude. Um, with with the thinner air at the top, the downforce doesn't really do as much. So it's pretty much all about mechanical grip and horsepower. Because you don't need the downforce and the drag down the bottom of the hill where the air is a little thinner.
Here's a look at Brian Son, our sponsor for this series, and have to thank him once again, Penguin RC, for helping put this thing on. He's currently sitting in the fourth position, but most of the field has yet to set a time. Here's Michael Janney, your championship leader. He is 2 seconds out in front of David Schofield, and there you see him trying to deal with some lap traffic. That's one of the issues here with open qualifying.
Yeah, interesting to me, Chad. We have a Mercedes out on the track this race.
Yep.
Haven't had any Mercedes yet. I think Seth Rawls changed over to a Mercedes. I don't see him out there though, but I do see Jamie Allen, a newcomer to the series, out there in the Mercedes.
There's a look at Jamie Allen making his series debut tonight. Great to see everybody jumping on later on in the series as well. It's going to be for a very tricky track to jump into as well. But Janney, he's still sitting at the top of the charts. Jamie Allen working towards the through the chase now towards the end of his lap. Going to see where he comes in to finish his first qualifying lap here. Through the final corner now. Onto the straightaway. Jamie Allen across the line. And all that was for nothing because that was an outlap.
I do believe that was an out. Yeah, okay. I wasn't crazy. It is interesting to see the Merc out there. I just did the M Tech series over at Majors with Blake Reynolds, fellow driver in the championship series. We drove the Porsche, and we did really well. Besides, well, we didn't finish very well, as you know, Chad. You were commentating the race, but we were quite fast overall. We were out in front at one point in that race before the caution flew. We felt like the Porsche was just pretty incredible. I mean, it suited our driving style, which was nice, but compared to what we were seeing out of the Mercedes and BMW, there was no Ferraris, but those other cars, it just seemed like there was a really good advantage for the Porsche in terms of how it suited our driving style. Like we could get on it pretty hard on the brakes, really drive it with the nose of the car, more or less let the nose settle and sort of use the weight towards the rear to kind of rotate the car through the corner. But those front engine cars, they really kind of push through the corner more. So,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, you drive them similar, but there is a difference.
yeah, it's a fun dynamic trying to choose which car suits your driving style the best. And here's a guy that really can't pick a car. I think he's ran a different one every single season he's raced in the series. That's Christian Challoner. I think this is going to be his first flying lap of qualifying, as he's coming towards the end of his lap. We do have a couple of guys working their way towards the line as well. Here's Kieran Big Dog Forrest through the final corner, and where is he going to come out?
You know, interesting what you're saying with Challoner not being able to pick a car. I mean, the McLaren is not the championship, personally. I found it hard to drive last year. He's been fast in it, but you could tell he doesn't really have much of an advantage, I feel like, over Janney. Like, yeah, the car's competitive, and if it suits your driving style, it's probably pretty good. I don't think there's a track it's particularly bad at. I just think it's very unforgiving. The Porsche was very forgiving. I mean, for an endurance race, that was the right move for us.
Yeah, Christian can pretty much drive anything that's got four wheels from what we've seen. By the way, Kieran Forrest came in with lap time 2:06 flat, so it's going to put him at P8. Challoner jumps all the way up to P2. Timing scoring says it's a dead heat. I don't believe that's accurate.
Janney's got
3
thousandths.
2 1,000ths of a second is what I'm seeing. Wow, that is close.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much a dead heat at a track like this. I mean, you could have grown a piece of hair, put it out the nose, and he might have got the same time.
Reminds me of Little Rascals. You're putting the flour on the front of the car to get him by just at the slightest of margins at the end of the race. But man, these guys are
some wacky racers over here.
These guys are going to be having some fun out there. It's going to be a fun battle. Watch them down the mountain, and we saw it last week where pit stops really helped play into how the race turned out. But man, right now it's just Challoner and Janney out in front once again. A smaller field than what we're used to seeing here, as those two guys run at the front. No Savian Ragster this week. He was competing up at the front last week as well. Seth Rawls said that he was unable to make it. Do have a driver on suspension, so he wouldn't be in the field today either. But
nobody can guess what driver that is. Absolutely nobody.
Oh, and there's huge contact. That was your current pole sitter on a flyer, and that was his teammate that he got into.
Team orders, obviously. You know who hasn't decided on a car yet? Like at all in the last 3 times we've run this series?
Who's that?
Is Tim Brokaw. The man is now driving something that should be in the Smithsonian.
I mean, that is a beautiful livery, that matte black Ford GT. I mean, that thing, I love the headlights there that are flashing back and forth on the Ford GT. That's a nice little detail that they have in pit lane.
No, does it? It's pretty neat. No Lamborghinis tonight. We do have a Audi, though. I actually think the Audi would probably be pretty good here, if I had to guess.
Yeah, that's Brian Son in that in the Audi.
Pink accent on it for October, breast cancer awareness.
Here's a look, though, back at the guy out in front driving that Porsche that you were just talking about. That's the 113 of Michael Janney, and he took all of his DDR Livewire SimSport guys over to that Porsche with him. So a couple of those in the field, a couple of Ferraris, only one McLaren as well, and you mentioned the lone Mercedes tonight. But overall, I mean, it's going to be a fun one here with 2 minutes left in qualifying. I can't wait to see what kind of things these guys can do towards the end of this race, because it's going to be a fun battle, I think, from start to finish.
Yeah, one thing I'm noticing is how well the Ferraris are doing. Lambert and Jack, they're actually, that's pretty quick to be ahead of, all those Porsches who have been qualifying near the front. We're looking at Kevin Panning and Cody Cosgrove. They've really qualified usually 4th, 5th, and 6th almost every race. So they're finding themselves a ways down the order. Maybe they just haven't gotten a great lap in, but
and I think
surprising to me.
I think part of that also is just this track. I mean, it's so punishing. Guys are probably going to take it pretty easy just to even set a banker lap trying to get something done here. But overall, I mean, Can't wait to see how this race plays out. It's been a fun season so far. But both Challoner and Janney, after last week's race, both of them said that this is one of their favorite tracks, and they were really looking forward to racing here. So, gonna have to see how this plays out between the two of them.
I've driven this track, Chad. I've never actually raced it, in a race. I've never been brave enough to give it a go.
I will tell you that
yeah.
the Silver Crown is just as fast as a GT3 here, so that's a little fun fact for you.
I don't even want to know why you know that.
You know exactly why I know that.
I do. I still don't want to know any of the stories as to how you figured it out. I'm
Well,
guessing you jumped a corner or something.
no, it's just flat out. Like, you can get so much more acceleration that you can make up all the time that you lose down the straight in the corners down the straights, and you can really wing the car around because it's such a small car.
Oh, I mean that does make sense.
Definitely a fun one, but we're not here for the Silver Crowns. We're here for the GTs, and overall, I mean, it just we're set. I mean, the championship picture, I think it's separated by 20 points now between your top two, and it's just been back and forth. Those guys trading wins all season. So
Christian found out exactly what the rear tires in McLaren on the grass do. You know, we could pull a Porsche move like they did in Le Mans back when they first made the GT1 regulations, Chad. We could take a Silver Crown and we could sell it for, for like a street legal version of it, and then run a race version of it, basically the actual race car, here in the GT3 series. Do something funky like that.
there's a look at what just happened to Challenger. That's a replay of it as we come to the end of qualifying. A handful of guys still out on the track. The next one across the line is going to be Cody Cosgrove as he works his way around through the chase and a couple of corners remaining. Where is he going to come out? Currently sits in the 9th spot.
Did you catch Christian Challoner there? Still P2, didn't really get to improve on that lap. The last lap he ran out, and he didn't even try to go around and do another one.
Yeah, did not have time to set another lap, so he's gonna remain there at P2. There you see also Michael Janney across the line.
Well, he'd have had the time. He just chose not to try to run a hot lap on like a second lap on the tires. I guess maybe they fall off a little.
Couple more cars left finishing their qualifying runs as well. These are the last two guys out on track. This one is the 42 of Kieran Big Dog Forrest, and he's going to be coming in here 8th spot, and he's got some fast drivers behind him, but he's set a pretty good lap for himself in qualifying. And he's just going to dive down pit road, practicing that pit entry. We've seen that be very crucial, but here's the only other car left on track here in qualifying. So as he comes across the line, where is he going to end up? Through the final corner, here comes Tim Brokaw, currently in 11th with a lap time of 2:07.878. This is a 2:07.382, but it looks like he must have had an off track because that lap did not count. So got a smaller field here today as we take a look at your starting grid with Michael Janney on pole, followed by Christian Challoner, two pros at the front of the field. Then it's Brandon Lambert, Jack Belton, Jamie Allen. David Schofield in the 6th spot with Steve Lane. And then Kieran Forrest to the outside of Steve. Then Cody Cosgrove, Kevin Fanning, row 5. Row 6, Brian Son and Tim Brokaw. And Asfog Dennis back in the 13th position. So, smallest field of the season tonight. Going to have to wait and see how that plays out for just about everybody as we get set for some a fun night of racing. Getting set here. As you see, everybody's starting to take to the grid. And a couple cars that have yet to take to the grid, and those include actually the only two guys that have not are the front two drivers of Janney and Challoner. So just waiting on those final two guys to get things rolling as they get their setups to get everything set just right for this race.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is a little bit of a competitive advantage to waiting it out, give you just a little bit more fuel, stuff like that. So I think we're gonna see them probably wait it out, try to get a little bit of a of an advantage.
Yeah, Challoner did grid first, and then Janney jumped in right after, and there you see them at the front of the field with that beautiful iRacing safety car out in front of them as well. But a 1 hour race here from Mount Panorama, and it's going to be a exciting one. Battles all throughout the field, because even though these front two were a couple seconds faster than just about everybody else, those front two were right together, and the rest of the field was all in a tight pack as well. The pace car gets set to pull off and takes out some bollards in the process. But it's going to be Janney out in front around the final corner, waits for the command, and we are green from Bathurst. It's going to be Janney getting the early line and cutting off Challoner before they even get to the start-finish line. Top 6 all in line, but there is the one Mercedes of Jamie Allen cutting to the inside and keeps it nicely, so he's going to hold on. He's going to get up to that 5th spot right away, but he's going to be on the outside at the next corner.
We're watching as there's 2 wide battle at the middle of the field. I was going to say the back of the field, but it's really the middle. Jamie Allen, David Schofield, drag racing right into the uphill here. Jamie Allen takes the lead of David Schofield on the outside. Pinch that angle off just a little bit. We're still 2 wide further back with, I believe that's Cody Cosgrove and Steve Lane, as well as Brian Sohn and Tim Brokaw. They're still side by side in the last row of the grid as Asphalt Dennis makes the move on Tim Brokaw. Not quite. Here comes Brokaw on the inside.
Yeah, battles all throughout this field, working their way up the mountain for the first time. And it's still Janney and Challoner, the first 2, followed by Lambert, Belton, Allen, and Schofield. Allen, we talked about him in the pre-race, new to the series. This is his first event. Just signed up the other day. Now watch these guys just fly down the mountain.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by the pace of the Ferraris. I wonder if they're going to be able to hold on to it throughout the run. It does sound like, downforce doesn't mean as much here, and these guys with the bigger engines are getting the benefit of those longer straightaways.
Yeah, it looks like just about everybody through the field has strung themselves out for the time being. This is a really close battle here though, between Brokaw. Brokaw peaks. It's going to have the inside line here as they go approach the chase, but he's going to have enough of an overlap. Not quite. He tucks back in line. Thinks about it under braking, but does not make the move, as he's going to tuck in line as we complete lap number 1 here from Mount Panorama. There's a look back up front once again. That's Janney and Challoner starting to kind of gap themselves back. There you see Brandon Lambert in the 10 car. That Ferrari with his teammate right behind him.
Yeah, they're heading up Mountain Straight right now, Chad. Fast section of the track as they climb quite a bit of elevation, believe it or not. I know it's a straight, but those cars are still working hard.
Yeah, especially when you crest that hill kind of in the middle of the straightaway. It does upset the car if you catch that hill just wrong. Look at Jack Belton, though, feeling the pressure from the newcomer in Jamie Allen. That's going to be the battle for the 4th spot right now as they work their way up the hill once again.
Yeah, I mean, they might be side by side through Reed Park here. Who knows?
Yeah,
Not quite.
There is a maybe one passing opportunity here at this section of the track, but the biggest thing here is you work your way both up and down the mountain, just self-preservation. You'll see the walls kind of close in and get a little claustrophobic as they work their way now down the mountain. You catch a curve just wrong, it's going to send you right into one of these barriers.
Chad, at the bottom of the mountain, there's a left-handed corner. I'd like you to zoom in on Big Dog Forest for that one because the corner's named after him, called Forest's Elbow.
Big Dog's Elbow. There we go.
Called Big Dog's Elbow. Here we go. We're going down in the Big Dog's Elbow right here.
That's the corner we just went through. Is that right? And then now they're coming up to the chase.
It's got the blue walls on it. When you pretty sharp left, kind of exiting the mountain.
up front. Look at how much this gap has opened up early on. I don't know if Challenger's maybe saving something, trying to get an extra lap out of the car on fuel or something, but these guys were matching each other lap after lap in practice and qualifying. So interesting to see those guys kind of gap themselves apart.
I do think that Challenger's car might hold the balance better throughout the run. I mean, the McLaren, I think, burns tires just a tiny bit more, but I think the Porsche, as it picks up its nose over the course of the run, gets a little more understeery. So, I don't know how Jani has his car set up, of course, but my guess would be he would slow down a little bit after the first couple laps, and I think the McLaren will stay a little more consistent.
There's a look at the weather right now. 75 ambient, 108 the track temperature, and I think it's currently 3:07 p.m. so in virtual standard time. So that's kind of it's basically going to hold its temperature for the rest of the race. Looks like we do have actually a retirement. This is Brian's son. We'll go back here and see if we can't figure out what happened. He's already binned it at that point. And keep going back here.
I don't know if it's a retirement. He's getting some pretty good pace out of that thing for having no bonnet.
Yeah, here's a look at the replay. Let's see if we can't figure out what happened here, because upset the back end there, but maybe just pushing a little too hard, because he's just wiggling all over the track. Oh, catches the curb and a couple pirouettes there, gets it back around. But unfortunately, that's going to be a ton of damage there for the 3.
Good avoidance by Timmy B there.
Absolutely, that was a fantastic bit of driving there.
That is our race sponsor there, Our Design. That is all over the back of Tim Brokaw's car. He's responsible for a lot of the graphics that you see out there on a lot of these cars. Great artist. Maybe not so many in this series as you see in the RX series, but Kevin Fanning's car is also made by Tim Brokaw, and I think it's a beautiful livery.
Yeah, it's very simple. It's classic, but it integrates the sponsors' logos well, and these guys having some fun out there.
Jamie Allen's getting close to Jack Belt, and Master Chief's under fire.
And there's a peek into the inside, but thought better of it. Probably the better thing to do 7 minutes into this race. And would you look at that, Ray? We got our timing graphics working for once.
I'm so proud of you, Chad.
No,
interesting though.
Don't be proud of me.
And,
I just asked Zach for some help.
I was just gonna say Jamie and Jack are actually good friends. Jamie's in this league right now because of Jack's recommendation, and Jamie's a huge fan of Bathurst. So they're having a good old scrap. Good to see.
Yeah, a couple of Brits from across the pond, as they say, enjoying their fish and chips and tea and crumpets as they work their way up the mountain.
You know, Jack drove over in the M-Tech Series too, Chad. I don't know if you noticed, but he was down in the Porsche in the GT4 class. And they were actually up there on the podium fighting for the podium spots in that GT4 class for a while, despite being one of the AM entries.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was on the call for that race. I knew just about everybody that was running.
Yeah.
Your brother...
They made a couple mistakes, though.
Your brother got a podium in class there as well. We saw a bunch of drivers. I think we also saw Team Sequential Sim Sport. I think that's... Is it Brokaw or is it Cosgrove? I can't remember. It's Cosgrove and...
Sequential is Cody Erdman and...
yeah. I'm mixing
Harley Moss and Janssen Cartagena, who races over in our championship series as well.
That's right. I'm mixing up all of my Codys and my drivers from these leagues. There were about 10 or so drivers from the Nitro NASA series across the board that were over in that race. So it was definitely...
I'd say there was probably 6 or 7 cars from the NASA series.
Yeah, no, it was definitely fun because when you're broadcasting a 4-hour race like that, like I was, it's great to have little profiles on all the drivers, kind of know a little bit about them.
We've got a battle here,
and still, once again, just too far back for Jamie to make that move.
Jack threw the corner away.
Wow.
But, I mean, I do think the lack of I know the Ferraris. I know they took a lot of wing out of the back of their car, because the air is really thick down at the bottom of the hill, but not at the top, so they weren't really finding much speed from putting rear wing into the car on the top of the hill. It wasn't really doing much, so they decided to build their car around a low rake platform, I want to say. Maybe something with a diff. So you can see they're just absolutely monstrous speed-wise down the straightaway. And then in the corners, they're not really losing that much.
And here's a look. There you go. They crest the hill. And look at that elevation change. You go right up and right back down, just like a roller coaster. And then you go up here and start to come up to some of the twisty bits. And it's definitely a fun track to drive for sure.
Absolutely. Brandon Lambert is in P3, but he's got some damage on the back right of his car. He must have clipped a wall or something. I mean, he's holding good pace, but surely that's going to be costing him at least a little bit of time in the straightaway. Whole right side of that car has got a nice Darlington stripe on it.
There you see him continuing to work his way up towards the crest of the mountain. We'll go on board with him, see what all goes into it as he starts to work his way down the hill here. Watch these hands.
He did pick that damage up all the way on lap 2.
I mean, throttle control, so precise, smooth movements of the wheel. I mean, these guys really know what they're doing out there. I know I would bin it just about every lap.
I mean, this would be like Le Mans 2.0, where you're still trying to learn the track after 10 laps. Everybody, when I say that, I mean everybody else is done with 10 laps. You're still in your first, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
At least we're in agreement.
Hey, there's a reason. I always say it. There's a reason I'm up here in the booth and not out there on the track. But I'm having some fun with it. Starting to kind of learn, practice, get some more league races in on road courses. So maybe one of these days I'll join you guys out here for some right turning cars.
Yeah, maybe you'll beat me one time. I mean, I imagine I wouldn't be able to. I would have to not finish that race for that to happen. But you never know.
I mean, I have beaten you once before on an oval, so I'm never
gonna live that down. I should have really tried harder.
I gave you the lead at one point, but team orders. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Those don't exist.
No team orders, never.
I mean, you still ended up not even having to run the last race of that series to take second overall. So it was a fun little.
I was not disappointed by that.
That was a fun little league. They've added some road courses in there this season as well, so definitely good to see them.
I did really enjoy TNT. I really enjoyed the short tracks with the PM18. What I did not enjoy was the high frequency of yellow flags, to put it nicely.
Yeah, they have made some changes this season, and it seems to be working. The races have been pretty good. They've added some road courses as well. We were actually doing some testing at Rockingham last night in the PM18 just to see how that car handles on that track, and oh my goodness, it is a blast.
Well, yeah, they did change that car. I think they stripped a lot of the downforce overall out of that car and the way the tire model works now.
Yeah, they also adjusted the aero wash in it, but...
is there a lot more now?
No, they've actually taken... you're actually able to get a lot closer to the car in front before having to peek your nose out. But the issue is actually with the drag on that car, because if you can, depending on the track, if you get a big enough run, once you peek your nose out, you just stall out right away. So it's definitely makes it interesting to try to set up and make passes, but we've got a run race to talk to. Oh, my clobber in the wall there was Jamie Allen. That was a hard hit.
I didn't see him hit the wall. Am I blind?
I think so. We'll see if we can't go back here. We'll take a look at the replay.
Oh, he did, but you know what? He got really lucky. He striped it with the wheels, so either he's got some suspension damage or he's totally fine. Oh, there's a little bit of a crinkled door on the right side, near the rear fender. But you know who's barking up his tree through where he got in the wall, and that's Big Dog Forrest, and Big Dog Forrest was doing that in Forrest's elbow.
Man,
look, a nice little scrap here, 3 of them.
Yeah, that's Belton, Allen, and Schofield, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Well, it's not Big Dog. Forrest is catching up to him, but that's Schofield right there. But don't count Big Dog out. He's getting close. Big Dog's actually faster than these boys. A half a second a lap.
Yeah, he lost some time earlier on, but he seems to be catching right back up. Yeah, Belton, Allen, Schofield on your screen, and these guys not going to let anybody run away in high. Look how close they are just going up the hill now.
I think David, if he gets clear, I think he could probably break away. His pace was significantly higher than these guys, about a second last lap. So, if he can get the window, I think he can make it. I think Allen's having a hard time because that Merc is a little slower down the straightaways than the Ferrari, which is like you're saying a Merc with the V8 is slower than a Ferrari down the straightaway. You know, interesting. Remember Spa in the 24-hour Spa? I drove the Merc and I was absolutely 8 miles an hour faster down the straightaways than the Ferraris in the draft. So, I'm saying that, and I'm like, that's kind of a weird thing to say about a Merc, but yeah, these 3 Ferraris do have a little bit of an advantage there for sure. I'm sure a little bit of that is also set up.
And by the way, we talked about him driving to the pits. Look at this car back out. This is the 03 of Brian Sun out there once again. And just
no,
as
he's
I
not.
say that, he's right into the wall. Oh.
There's some sort of hardware failure right there because his car just went straight. Oh, not hardware. He just lost the back. He never got the bonnet back on that car. I'm gonna guess there's a little lack of aero.
Yeah, I mean, he's back out there. That we've seen with damage multiple times. I
think we're losing Chad, unfortunately.
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, the voice call was interrupting us.
Anyway, we are back out here. Just some, audio issues. We're okay, but no, he's back out there. We've seen him time and time again. He'll pick up some damage somehow, whether it's his fault or not, and he always ends up just limping the car around, trying to get a finish and getting some screen time for himself. So definitely great to see him, logging laps and just try to get a feel for these cars and kind of learn and grow as he goes.
Yeah, he's definitely not a quitter.
And these guys aren't quitting on this battle between these 3. This is still at 4th, 5th, and 6th we were talking about. Up in front, you can see the gap there from from Janney back to Challoner. And then 12 seconds back already is Lambert.
There must be some aero wash because, David's got a clean car, and he's not able to catch back up to these guys now that he's caught up to them. I know we were talking about Big Dog, but Big Dog slammed the wall during this lap. We missed it, but he got the left rear off the curb going up the uphill there, first right-hander, and he tore the back bumper up a little bit. So Big Dog's going to be a little wounded. I know we were hyping Big Dog up, saying he was going to get up there, but
and there he is, the right sides and the left sides.
And I think Big Dog's got the rear engine cover off the car,
and he's going to take it straight back to the pits.
We were just saying Big Dog was doing pretty great. Big Dog dead.
Oh, so we got to take Big Dog to the vet after that one. And these guys, though, they're still going at it. He thought about it. Jamie once again thought about making that move in through the chase now, and not going to get it done there.
Part of me feels really bad for Kieran. Part of me's also like, bruh. Like, this is Bathurst. What are you doing driving?
What is he doing driving? He's racing, right? That's what they do.
Oh, no. I said driving over his head.
Oh, okay. Nothing wrong with that. It's always, it's not the most drivers that we've ever seen out here. This is the smallest field, I think, this season. And that's unfortunate to see because it's such a fun track. I would have loved to have seen the full 20 to 25 cars that we'd normally get here.
Yeah, maybe it's for the better. Maybe some less wrecks. I'm curious when Jamie's going to do something to try to get around Jack. Does he go on an alternate pitch strategy and try to get some clean air and just focus on lap times that way? We see he's definitely getting a tow down the straightaways, and that draft is pulling him. But how much is Belton slowing him down at the top of the mountain?
Well, and you got to ask the same thing about Schofield because he's caught right back up to these guys. It took him a lap or two to get his shoes back under him, but once he kind of found his footing, he's able to catch right back up, and he's right with these guys once again.
Yeah, truthfully, if I'm Schofield, I'm boxing. I'm gonna go add some fuel. Unless it's going to really kill my lap times, but based on my experience in this car, or this class, the fuel doesn't really do much for lap times. Not the few gallons they have to add either. So as soon as I'm in the window, I would personally be in there and trying to do something a little different than these guys. There's not a whole lot to gain by sitting behind them, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. You're probably looking at maybe another 6 minutes or so, I think, until you're fully in the window to just take on fuel and go to the end. I think that a lot of these guys, though, they're going to do what they normally do and just kind of log as many laps as they possibly can to kind of just get the fuel or get the car as light as possible for as long as possible.
Yeah, and like mathematically, it makes sense to have the car you know, as light as possible for as long as possible. Like you said, if you're running more fuel early, you know, as in you add the fuel to go to the end, you're running a heavier car for the whole race versus the guys that are 3 or 4 gallons lower than you. Yeah, they got to add 3 or 4 gallons still, but then they're going to refuel and only run a car with 3 or 4 gallons for a couple laps. So we just saw Jamie make a great move there on Jack Belton, and David was thinking about joining him.
Yeah, trying to just play that follow the leader. Once somebody else punches the hole, you just kind of try to follow them through the old karting move.
But that's not it, because the Ferrari straightaway speed is going to
Gets it right back.
out. And there's still a lot of time left on this straightaway. Let's see if he can clear him. Not quite.
And there you see, still side by side.
Though. We know its car's good off. Oh wow,
it's
good
not
move by Jamie.
Not the easiest way to go. Not the easiest place to go too wide there, but
I think Jack didn't push it too hard. Oh, Jamie's a little bent out of shape there, almost into the wall. A big wiggle. I don't know if you saw that.
This has been a great little battle. And by the way, here's another one. You hear that Jaws music playing in the background. There's Tim Brokaw catching up to Kevin Fanning.
I mean, they're like de facto teammates. I don't know how much of a battle it would be, but I don't think Tim would mind beating Kevin tonight. I think that beating him for one of these races would be a good thing for him. He would feel good about that, you know?
Yeah.
I do know that both Kevin, I think Cody... Yeah, Kevin and Cody both raced in M-Tech as well, so I think they maybe don't have as much laps as they normally would on this track here. I think they prioritized that this week.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, normally we'll see for all of the series. We'll just
Podium finishers in the GT4, they got second.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, normally we would see, session after session every single day of practices going up for these guys, and this week it was pretty quiet, pretty tame with everybody, getting ready for M-Tech or running, maybe trying to get some Rallycross laps in. But wow, once he's gotten by Jamie Allen's, he's pulled out a couple laps or a couple of tenths now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Michael Janney will also be joining the M-Tech field. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not. Who's he going to be running with?
Michael Janney's going to be driving a Spark Glass Lap Motorsports Porsche alongside Christian Malcharek and Trevor Greenfield. That car was actually in second split for the first race. They couldn't quite get their qualifying boots under them, but I think once you add Michael Janney to the car, you're not going to really see that as an issue for pre-qualification. Speaking of Michael Janney, he's under fire from Christian Challoner right now. Challoner's reeled him back in.
Yeah, and I think that might have maybe just been Christian saving his stuff a little bit, but look at how these guys just absolutely fly through this section of the track.
Yeah, so I mean, like, speaking of Janney and M-Tech, there was a chance I could have drove with Michael Janney in M-Tech. That would have been awesome. Blake had asked me to drive with him, so I decided to stick with Blake. And Michael really liked the idea of getting the race with a professional, real-life GT3 driver, which is, Christian Malcharek. Drove in the 24 Hours of Spa in the Audi R8. So he thought that was pretty cool. So he's going to take advantage of that and see if he can kind of learn some stuff. Even though Christian's new to the sim, he's a really good driver.
And he does some racing in the real world, is that right?
Christian, yeah, he drives for Audi. He drove the 24 Hours Spa last year, I think it was, and some other stuff. I know he just won a race over in the Czech Republic a few weeks ago as well. He's really quick. I mean, we've been seeing him race over in the IndyCar series here at NASA, so he's no stranger to this league either.
Definitely a fun guy to watch out there on track, and these guys making things interesting once in there. You see challengers right back on the bumper of Michael Janney as they work their way up through turn number 1 and start to work their way towards the mountain.
Janney a wiggle and a little grass. If Challoner got a good launch off this corner, I think the draft could help him get alongside.
The issue is going to be, I don't, first of all, I don't think he's close enough. He's not going to get there to make the move. He's peeking to the inside now, but we'll have to see if we can get him under braking. He does not. Tucks back in line. But that just shows everybody can make mistakes around here. They can be very punishing. Fortunately for Janney, it was at one of the spots on the track. There is a little bit of gap between the edge of the track and the wall, as he now works his way just barely in front of Christian Challoner.
Yeah, I do think Christian probably lifted. I don't think he was even really trying to make a move there. I think he's trying to save a little fuel behind him. He's going to see if he can undercut him on the pits maybe. Because I think Christian, if he sent that out of that corner, I think he definitely could have got him.
Yeah, that's something we haven't talked about for these two guys is trying to save fuel. Christian, of course, in the draft can do that a little bit.
Oh, but not if he does that.
Wow, it's going to be a slowdown for sure. It's going to be about a 1.2 second slowdown, I think, is what I realized from practice. So he's going to serve it
It's
there.
a long slowdown.
Yeah, so he's now about 2 seconds behind, and everything that he gained, he has to give up. Both of these guys this lap have made a mistake on their own, and Challenger's going to have to push now to try to catch back up to Janny.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see is you're going to see Christian try to close that gap to Janny. He knows he can cut down the gap in the pits maybe with an undercut. But I think Michael Janny's move is to stay out as long as you can, and you react to Christian Challoner. You pit the same lap, or the last lap of fuel, or the next lap after Christian Challoner pits. So I think for Challoner, the move is to close the gap as much as possible, and then hope you've saved enough fuel. Pit whenever you feel is necessary, or at the end of the tank, and have to spend less time stopped fueling the car. I think that's how he's going to get him.
And by the way, look at this. Once Jack Belton was passed by the other two guys, Allen and Schofield, he is dropped like a rock. There you see the gap back from Schofield to Jack Belton. So he was really holding those front two guys off. Oh, wow. Just as I look away from him and back to the guy right behind him. Yeah, let's see if we can't.
Lost the back end in the kink there and then just took it across the grass. You were saying Belton fell off, but his lap times were actually quite good. They really were actually getting better after those guys passed him. So he was really cracked under the pressure, I think, as we did see them go side by side through the last corner there. So I think really, Dave, what we've seen here is David Schofield's been released, and
wow,
you can see by the gap he's pulled.
Look at this, by the way. Cody Cosgrove now caught up to these guys. So he's jumped back into the picture for these for the top 5.
Absolutely. No surprise there. Cosgrove a little slow out of the gate, but his lap times have consistently been in the 6s. He had a couple 8s, probably had a slowdown or something, but his lap times have actually been faster than these guys. So real conservative first lap from Cosgrove. Fell off about 6 or 7 seconds from these guys. But other than that, been really picking up the pace since then.
And back up front, nothing has changed between your front two after that slowdown penalty. Challoner is still 2 seconds behind, and that gap is kind of just holding where it's been since he served that. So definitely going to have to watch that gap, but these guys are the ones that we're watching right now because they're battling all 3 of these guys for position. That's Allen, that Mercedes, followed by the Porsches of Belton and Cosgrove.
Well, Jenny's out on that grass, way out on that grass that time. He striped it. I could see the tire mark from where I'm sitting here, and you could see Challoner actually cut into that lead by 0.2 of a second there. So that there's a little bit of a gain for Challoner.
Yeah, I think that Jenny may be pushing a little too hard through turn 1. We've seen it the last 2 laps where he runs just the slightest bit wide, and that gives Challoner the opportunity to make up some ground. But those two guys, I mean, they're about 1.5 seconds apart from each other now. But
and Brokaw out of the pits.
Yeah, actually, yeah, Brokaw made his pit stop. Steve Lane just came down pit road as well. Jack Belton, seeing him. Okay, he's just having some connections. He's jumping all around my timing screen. But yeah, so a couple guys, Brokaw and Lane, both have pit. Big Dog, he is still sitting in the pits getting serviced. Brian Son looks like
Challoner
he is
caught the
retired.
wall.
He's still going plenty fast. We'll take a look here. See if you can't catch it on the replay.
To me, it didn't look like a big hit, but I could see the dent. Like, I don't know if he got it or not. Looks like he did. Sounds like he got it. I don't think he lifted for it.
No, he definitely did not. But you see that the left side of the wing is bent up just the slightest bit. So that's going to be sticking up in the air just a little bit more, and it did cost him about 0.5 second back to Janny.
I gotta think he hit the wall, Chad. The straight line speed doesn't look amazing compared to where it was at before.
Well, yeah, I mean, he did hit the wall because there is that damage to the rear wing. So, um, yeah,
I mean, yeah, I just don't think it's net code is what I'm saying.
yeah, for sure.
His speed looks like it's down like 5 or 6 miles an hour, honestly.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. We'll watch the lap times for those guys as they continue to churn them out here, approaching halfway. So I'd expect maybe some of these guys will start pitting. More of these guys will start pitting pretty soon. We've already seen Brokaw and Lane both come in.
It's not 5 or 6 miles an hour, but it is like 2 miles an hour. My apology. I don't know. I was looking at the wrong point of the track.
Well, he did just make up about a tenth and a half there, so he is able to make up ground in some places. We'll have to see if he can't keep that up through the rest of this race. It's the Brokaw
Yeah, he
now.
was half a second slower that lap, though. So, I mean, while he was gaining time in some spots, he was losing it in others. I mean, definitely he wouldn't be half a second off if he didn't hit that wall, I think. So,
And with his pit stop, by the way, Tim Brokaw does fall one lap down. He comes out between Challoner and Lambert, so he is currently kind of just in the fray. Kind of just, he's well out of the way of your leaders, but yeah, definitely going to be fun to watch how these guys starting to deal with some lap traffic, because they've got the 66 of Steve Lane not too far out in front of your leaders now, and Steve is kind of struggling out there a little bit. He did take about a 34 seconds in his box. So it looks like that was probably just fuel and maybe some minor cosmetic repair to the wing to try to get that thing fixed. But I think that his pit stop was just for fuel. Brokaw's stop was a 107, so he definitely had some damage there that he had to get fixed as well.
very interesting, Chad, indeed. Not really sure what's going to happen in this midfield battle between Allen and Belton, Cosgrove. Definitely a close one. What is not close is the gap between second and third place.
Yeah, no,
26-second gap on the podium.
that
It
is.
just shows you the pace of these guys compared to the others.
Yeah, and they even have a 10-second gap. Lambert back to Schofield for fourth.
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of track where, like, those gaps do build, right? I mean, you're talking about a highly technical track, very long track. We're halfway through this race, roughly. And those times are starting to build.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, crossing halfway in this race, and a couple of guys have pit. I think that everybody, like you mentioned earlier, just going to kind of try to stay out and last as long as possible on their fuel run. And I think the biggest thing for these guys is how aggressive are you going to be on pit entry? This is one of those where it's not a straight shot in. You do have a long curve to the sweeping left-hander on the pit road entry. So it's going to be fun to watch as those guys try to manage their pit stops.
Absolutely, Chad. And I don't think it's the type of pit road where you can really, like, throw it in there too hard and gain time. So that might play into Christian's hand a little. We've seen Michael have some really amazing pit entries because it does have, like, a little chicane in it. Unless Michael just completely runs over it and, like, jumps it, as he may sometimes do.
Speaking of jumps, I hope that we see some guys jump the chase at the end of this race. That's my favorite part about this track.
You just love watching crashes, Chad.
That's what I'm good at.
You said it, not me. Well, Michael Janney's catching up to his teammate Steve Lane here. A little lap traffic. Just like, as I say, lap traffic. Brandon Lambert's being held up a little by Tim Brokaw. I don't know if held up is the right word, but he's behind him. You gone over to Twitchland at all?
I have not. I've kind of got 8 million windows open trying to keep an eye on just about everything here with the broadcast now that I have to produce as well as commentate. But I'm sure that everybody over there is having a good time. We want to say hello to all you guys. We're not completely ignoring you. I just unfortunately don't have the monitor real estate to keep an eye on everything all at the same time.
Yeah, there's a few people over there. Shout out to y'all.
Hi, Mom.
Throw out in the chat any favorite moments of this race. Anything you're looking forward to?
Looking forward to Big Dog. Is he going to try to get back out there? He's still sitting in his pit stall. You see how damaged his car is, however. Just slowly but surely getting the wrenches turned on it.
Reese Carroll waved to us. Hope I said his name right. Got Drive Dead Racing over there supporting Michael Janney. Steve Lane and Cody Cosgrove, they're in the chat. Their man's doing good tonight.
There's a solid look at the rear of Challoner's car, by the way, and yeah, there's significant damage to that left rear, and he's lost another about 2 seconds to Michael Janney. So definitely, unfortunately, might just be game over there for Challoner in this race, and it's going to be close. I think that's going to basically make it where Challoner has to sweep. If they finish 1-2 once again, then Challoner's going to have to sweep the rest of the season for him to take even a share of the championship.
Absolutely, Chad. Can I make a request, by the way, Chad?
No.
You know, I outfitted this cool drone with a camera. Do you think we could try it up the hill? Looks really cool.
No.
All right, I'll just upgrade to the helicopter. We use the helicopter?
All right, we got a helicopter. We can do that. Who's the next guy going up the hill? That's going to be Asphalt Dennis, next guy working his way up the hill.
Yeah, let's give Asphalt Dennis and that Blue Chews Porsche some highlights.
Looks like, is he missing the front to his car as well?
He does not have a hood on his car. Well, from that angle, he doesn't, but looking at it closer, he does. It's just really bent.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of a war of attrition here for these guys. Yeah, you see there is definitely some front nose damage to that car as he continues to work his way up the hill.
You just see how twisty this track is, how much elevation change there is from this angle.
Yeah, the interesting thing, if I remember right, is these are actually public roads when it's not during race season. At least portions of this track are. There you kind of see some driveways of people's houses. Actually, there are a couple of drivers actually own houses that back right up to the track. So
imagine driving out of your house and going down this road.
I live in Indiana where everything's pretty much flat, so I kind of can't. But
see, the roads around my area look like this.
Yeah, we just have a giant rectangle that's flat in Indianapolis, and that's about it. You have you have Lime Rock.
Pretty cool though.
Yeah, you have Lime Rock. That's all right, I guess.
Yeah, it's not too shabby. We also have the first paved oval in America. Not too shabby either.
Which oval was that?
Thompson.
When was Thompson built?
I want to say like 1800s. Something crazy.
Interesting.
1800s was a joke. I do want to say it was built around the time of World War I, though. I think, and a keyword is first paved, by the way.
Well, Indianapolis was paved in like 1912.
I don't know when it was paved.
1940, it looks like, according to Wikipedia.
We're gonna go do some more Wikipediaing.
Okay. I mean, Indianapolis was paved with bricks in 19...
asphalt is why.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, Indianapolis wasn't...
Once known as the Indianapolis of the East, according to Wikipedia. I don't know what they're talking about.
I don't either.
Short track, bro.
The thing about Indianapolis is it wasn't even paved with brick completely until like 1970s, 1980s, I think.
Interesting.
There were still sections, at least through the 60s, I know, that were still with brick. Here's this battle still ongoing as well between Belton and Cosgrove. Jamie Allen is currently working his way in the pits, so he's going to take his serve. That's going to break up his battle right there. There you see Cosgrove peeking to the outside, thinking about the crossover move, but can't get it done there. He talks back in line as they continue their way up the mountain.
Well, my money goes on the Master Chief for defending this position. He is a master defender as well as the Master Chief.
Yeah, we've seen him hold off some pretty fast guys for a little bit here. So, I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see how he plays out. 21 minutes just ticking under there left in this race.
Do you want to take bets on the top two? I mean, I guess the gap has opened up a bit, but
Not really. I mean, there's no point in betting if we know what's going to happen, barring any surprises.
Sports betting is legal here in Connecticut now.
It is here in Indiana as well, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, can't say I've really done much of it, if any, at this point.
Yeah, for me, it's mostly just making the most of, like if you're going out to a game with friends, it's like, okay, let's make it a little more interesting. Let's have something to cheer for on top of just watching the game.
If my team wins, it pays for my ticket.
I usually don't bet that much. I'm betting like a couple bucks on a game, not enough to pay for anything. But yeah, I mean, definitely fun to just have, something to cheer for.
I certainly wouldn't have been betting on my team lately, NYCFC. They went nearly 5 hours without scoring a goal.
Yeah, I sent you a picture. I was watching their match the other day. There you see, by the way, Cody Cosgrove now diving to pit lane. David Schofield in as well. Jamie Allen, he's working his way back out, but that's going to leave Jack Belton all by his lonesome for at least another lap.
Well, I'm interested to see if David maybe was a little under-fueled or... No, he definitely wasn't. He's out of the box first. And Jamie's quite a ways behind him. Ooh, this is close between Fanning and David Schofield. Has Fanning come down the pits yet? No, he has not.
Fanning has not yet. But he's just going to absolutely chop the nose off there of... he's going to absolutely, chop the nose off of Fanning. So Fanning, though, does end up getting by. Or no, sorry, let Schofield by. Schofield gets by. Wow. I'm mixing all my cars up now.
Chad, I think it's safe to say, unless there's a pretty big issue for Michael Janney where he picks up some damage, Christian Challoner is going to need something crazy to happen. Because he's just not got the pace to reel him in right now.
Yeah, and he had his chance early. I think that, we talked about that contact with the wall. I think that maybe after he got that slowdown penalty, he just kind of had his concentration broken just the slightest amount, and you really can't afford that here.
Yeah, I don't know how long until they need to pit, but he did make up 2 more tenths there. I think if he was within like a second, you might be able to see the fuel difference come into play, but he hasn't been able to really draft off of him the last few laps, so I don't know how much he's actually been able to save. I don't think that fuel time is going to really be much different.
So ticking now under 18 minutes, approximately 9 more laps for these guys. At the top of the mountain is your leader, Michael Janney. There you see him cresting and back down to the left. And using all of the roads, I'm surprised he's pushing as hard as he is. By the way, the gap up to third position, Jack Belton, 55 seconds, almost a minute back to third. Of course, a couple of guys have already made their pit stops. Belton was running 6th spot before he came, or before everybody else in front of him pit. So he's up to third for the time being, but still 15 and a half minutes to go. Gonna have to wait and see how everything plays out for these guys.
Trevor Greenfield in the chat says he wants one of the Spark cars to win because they look the best. He's not wrong.
I think that he's just a little biased, but maybe that's just from what I know of these guys.
I don't know what to tell you, man. It's definitely one of the best looking cars on that grid. Christian's is maybe the second best. I might be a little biased because I painted that one.
I don't know. I'm still a fan of this Knight Rider car with our beautiful race sponsor art design all over the side of it.
Yeah, that thing's a bit of a sleeper. I'm not gonna lie, that thing's pretty nice.
I do like the I would say Sprite car, but it's I know it's Norwich City. There, that's another Spark car, but I like the loud colors. I like colors that pop, and that one definitely is screaming at you.
Well, Christian short pitted.
12.5 seconds. That's the fastest of anybody's pit stop so far. The only one close was Cody Cosgrove at 12.8. So it looks like most of the field now pretty well strung out. Michael Janney working his way down the mountain. You'd have to expect him to come in now. I mean, he's got nothing really left to lose.
I would be down right now. Unless I'm seeing Christian's times are slower. I don't know. I don't really think he's got too much fuel left, honestly. We're, what, like 15 minutes left in this race?
Yeah, just ticked under that, and I mean, normally about 10 to 15 minutes left is when we see these guys come down pit road.
Oh, here he goes.
There he is. That's your
Kevin
leader.
Fanning cost him some time because Kevin was trying to yield to him. Didn't know he was pitting. Oh my gosh, what a pit entry.
Very aggressive there. You have to hope he didn't get a penalty. He was pushing all the way down to the commitment line.
I mean, that was a Rallycross, like, Joker lap or something.
Yeah,
I mean, he was 0.6 of a second faster than Christian Challoner just on the pit entry.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane. He works his way down, and he's in his pit stall. Christian Challoner now coming into his pit stall, actually, or coming through the final corner.
Sorry, I lied about the pit entry time. That was the lap before.
So that's Christian.
Wouldn't surprise me if he was, though.
There's Challoner. Janney is out and away from his box, so watch this blend. This is going to be, yeah, Janney's still out in front but how much? Oh, that gap has absolutely grown. He was pushing so hard on that pit entry.
Yeah.
Wow. 2 more seconds added to the gap for Michael Janney.
Man's a bit of a beast.
I mean, his pit lane time was a full second shorter. His pit stop service time was 0.6 of a second slower. So he was just flying down pit road. Looks like we got our final taker down pit road for the race. That's Jack Belton. Is that car up on Jack's? I can't tell. No, it's not. He's just getting his fuel. Okay. Yep, 12 seconds to stop for Jack Belton. He gets back out there, and he's going to lose a couple of spots. Here comes Cody Cosgrove trying to get that top 5. But that's going to put Brandon Lambert back up into it, and we might have a battle for the podium here. So still Janney Challoner. Lambert now is going to inherit third spot back once again, but he's under pressure from Schofield. And then you got Belton and Cosgrove back at it once again here for the last couple of laps. So the field is pretty strung out for the time being, at least. Still no changes up at the front. Everybody kind of cycled through pretty cleanly. Only 2 retirements from the race so far, it seems. That's Kieran Forrest and Brian Son. Actually, Asvog Dennis has retired as well. No threat of lapped traffic for your leader, Michael Janney. He just got by. That's the 66 of Steve Lane that just went a lap down.
Got some battles brewing, though. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah,
We've
we
got,
actually do. These two have actually...
Lambert and Schofield. We've got Belton and Cosgrove.
Yeah, about a second back between both groups. We were just looking not too long ago at Lambert and Schofield, but this one's shaping up. These guys came out of the pits right... Well, when Belton came out of the pits, he was right in front of Cosgrove. He's put a little bit of a gap to it by now.
I think David Schofield would love to be on the podium here. I mean, Brandon Lambert would obviously as well, but it's not been a great season for David. He's had a few issues with getting the car to the end of the runs, it seems like, but he's been decently quick. I mean, he's one of the 3 pro drivers in this race. Most of the other pro drivers not here tonight for whatever reason.
Yeah, only 3 drivers in the pro category and 10 drivers in the AM class as well. Lambert, though, he's been in that 3rd spot for just about all of the race. You see some damage there to the right front, and he's had that for a while, but he's still able to find some speed out of it. Lap time is, by the way, down considerably. Last lap for Challoner was a 2:04.5 compared to a 2:03.8, the fastest lap of the race. And only 2 drivers, it looks like, that are in the 2:03 bracket. Those are Challoner and Janney. But last lap, Challoner did pull some time back, but still 4.5 seconds for the leader overall.
There's going to be some fighting here between Schofield and Lambert.
Yeah, and there you see how much that gap is actually closed up over the last lap. It's about a car and a half or so between them now. And Schofield pushing hard to get back onto that podium.
Woo-wee, a 2:05.9.
If I remember right, by the way, Schofield hasn't had a podium in quite some time here.
I mean, if Lambert can beat him to the mountain, I do think that bodes well for him. It's just a matter of how much drag that damage has and if he can really even hold David with this draft. You see he's doing a little draft braking to just try to minimize the advantage a little bit. That's pretty smart driving. He's going to have to do that a lot, though. They may be teammates, but they're not going to just roll over and give away a podium spot. Just don't crash each other, boys. This is a good night in the points for your team.
Yeah, these guys are, of course, on the same team, but they are also in different classes. Lambert leading the AM category in this race, and Schofield still the 3rd out of 3 in the pro class here today. And of course,
yeah, they're different classes, but I mean, the pro drivers, they're not really racing for a pro championship. They're racing in the overall. Brandon Lambert is still a competitor in the overall, even though he's also competing in the AM classification. So it's not like you're like, oh, Lambert's racing a different race than him. No, they're racing the same race. Lambert's just got more to fight for. Like, if Lambert didn't care about the overall and he let Schofield go, that's probably fine. You know, he figures I'm gaining a lot of points. But even finishing 3rd in overall is going to gain him more points than 4th overall in the M points. So you're going to want Brandon Lambert's going to want to get 3rd here because that's going to be what's going to help him the most in the M points too.
yeah, so under 7 minutes now. It's about 4 laps, maybe a little less than that for your leaders. Leaders now just cresting the mountain, now working their way back down, and wow, I mean, this race has just flown by.
Yeah, it's a fun track to watch, Chad. One thing I did notice was Schofield had a chance to possibly throw it in on Lambert, and he chose not to. So it makes you wonder if maybe he's helping protect a little bit that AM points battle and seeing if maybe he can help Lambert possibly get back into it.
Yeah, we talked about the pro battle earlier on. It's been Janney and Challoner have won every single race overall. They finished 1-2 every time, but I think this is going to be the 5th win of the season for Janney out of 10 races. So, out of 10 races that the season is going to have. So Challoner would have to win out every single race, and I don't know what tiebreaker that would have to come down to.
Well, number of races win one, and then number of podiums.
So could we have a dead heat for the?
I don't think so. Didn't one of them finish off the podium one of these races?
No, they finished 1-2 every single race.
Did they really?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If they each win 5 and have 5 second place finishes, what's the ruling there, Commissioner?
Legitimately, that might actually be an actual tie for the championship.
We'll flip the coin.
I mean, if it were up to me, I'd say give them a one race off.
Oh, what is this? Cars?
Yeah, freaking Piston Cup.
Which one's Lightning McQueen?
One that goes ka-chow.
By the way, you just saw it just a moment. We were just kind of glossed over it, but Schofield has gotten by Lambert.
Yeah, by our rule book, we don't have any tiebreakers past total number of wins, total number of podiums, total number of top fives, and the best finish. And I don't think we're going to go and add another one. I mean, we could go by total number of pole positions if we really wanted to, but I feel like that would be really getting into the minutia there. Would you want to decide a championship off qualifying positions? I wouldn't.
No, I definitely wouldn't, for sure.
I'd rather see them do a head-to-head race or something.
This battle, though, this is still ongoing between Belton and Cosgrove.
Well, Brandon Lambert's been passed, and based on the front right of that car, I kind of see why.
Yeah, we noticed that damage a little bit ago. It's just considerable damage to that right front. He's hammered the wall at some point.
Did we miss the pass for that position? Did I just not notice it?
Yeah, we kind of just were talking about the tiebreaker in the championship and all that as the race went on. But
oh, Lambert had a slowdown into Forrest's elbow.
Interesting place to have one, I guess.
Or he just yielded. I'm not sure. Looks like he just yielded. Yeah, he just let him go.
Oh, there team orders there because that's your team.
I would think no after holding him up for so long. Well, Lambert just crashed. Maybe there's some technical issues going on.
Here's the way that he drifted off track like that.
Yeah, he lagged and then
Let's go.
Put his brakes on and he just continued right. He recovered a little bit of a dangerous rejoin, but I don't think he had much control at that point.
Yeah, let's go back. Give me one more chance. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing here.
Luckily, Cosgrove and Belton were totally awake there. I don't know how they avoided that.
There is still some steering damage. So you see his wheels about 10 degrees to the right. Comes through that corner and he just doesn't get the car straightened out. Yeah, interesting.
I noticed his brakes came on at a spot where they really wouldn't normally be coming on.
And wow, look at this. Lambert's rejoin actually allowed Cosgrove to get by Belton.
Yeah, it did, but Belton's still out there. They're battling This is a three-way battle for this position. I know Brandon's got some more damage now, but he's still in this.
Yeah, these guys are going to get very racy here. And by the way, it looks like the white flag is out. Got about a minute left on the clock, and we are got your leader now starting to work his way up the mountain.
Oh, Lambert's definitely having some issues. There's no way he's driving like that.
Yeah, he absolutely tried to send it there, and he's got either some mechanical issue or something going on, either with the car or with his rig. But yeah, that's definitely not the Brandon Lambert that we all know and love around here.
I mean, he's really, maybe it's the steering because he really looks like he's fighting that thing on the straightaways. Oh, Jack, hang on to it.
And he does for the time being. These guys still have yet to take the white flag.
Well, that is a little disastrous for Brandon Lambert in the AM Championship. He was about 50 points off the back of Kevin Fanning, about 40 off the back of Cody Cosgrove, and about 20 off the back of Steve Lane. So a third-place finish would have given him 35 points. A decent gain, something that you could be proud of, and really start to gain on those guys in front of you.
There you see your leader lapping Kevin Fanning here. He's already taken the white flag, and through the final couple of corners, he gets through the chase. He's got plenty of fuel, and through the final corner he comes for his 5th victory on the season. That's Michael Janney, your race winner here from Bathurst.
And somewhere in the mix of that, Chad, we missed Christian Challoner on lap 28, absolutely clobbering a wall. He actually spun.
Yeah, and that's why you see him 23 seconds now behind. But thankfully, he's got plenty of time back to David Schofield. But Christian Challoner now with, I believe, his 5th second-place finish of the season. And he's got a couple of wins to go along with that as well. It's either 4 or 5 for these guys, and they are not going to let each other get away very easily. Still got a couple more races
truthfully,
left.
Chad, after watching his crash, he's lucky to even be finishing this race in 2nd place. That very well could have been a DNF. He really messed the toe up on that car. And I know he had a couple more laps left after that, but it looks like he actually had a meatball flag and was running the car on a meatball flag for the next lap. If he had to go any further than 2 or 3 laps, he probably would have gotten DQ'd by the sim.
And there you look. Is he out of fuel? Looks like he is. Wow, he can't even come back around the track, your leader. That's how close he was cutting it. Well, that's one way to celebrate. But anyway, David Schofield going to take the 3rd spot. Then it's Cody Cosgrove. And
Lambert
Demolition
and have decided to implode their cars.
I'm surprised they decided to do that and not jump the chase, but man, I have to see if anybody's going to do it. Is Brokaw going to? I just got word from Christian Challoner. He's actually got post-race events, I guess you would call them, going on. So he's not going to be able to join us here in the booth. But we'll have your overall winner joining us here momentarily. But here's a look now over the hill through the final couple of corners, approaching the chase. Now this is have to see if he's going to jump it or not. But this is going to be Tim Brokaw starting to just fly across this track.
He's going to do it.
He's going to do it.
Yeah, Timmy B. Oh, I got
Oh! Does he stick the landing?
Heavy Ford couldn't get the nose up over it.
There he goes. And back on his wheels.
Legend. That car is destroyed.
Got one more car, looks like, going to do it.
Here comes David Schofield.
Getting some time for that Spark sponsorship out there.
DriveSVR.com, baby.
Clears
Oh,
it.
the
Oh, and he
rear
nails
engine
it.
pull Ferrari had
Oh,
no issue.
he landed. If he could have kept it out of the wall, that would have been even more spectacular. But man, what a fantastic race there, and some fantastic celebrations as well.
That just shows you the difference in the balance between the two cars. Where is your Dukes of Hazzard horn when you need it?
Here's a look, by the way, at your final results here. These are, of course, unofficial, but Michael Janney wins once again, followed by Christian Challenger. Somehow got away with things. That's going to be David Schofield, Cody Cosgrove, Jack Belton, Brandon Lambert, Jamie Allen, Kevin Fanning, then Steve Lane, Tim Brokaw, and then Asfog Dennis, Kieran Forrest, and Brian Son all did not finish tonight's event. But, as always, he's going to get pretty comfortable up here. We've already got his lazy boy already set up for him. Janny, welcome to the booth once again, and you're welcome for having you.
Now you've ruined the entire flow of the interview, Chad.
I knew you were going to say it, so I figured I'd beat you to the punch.
I don't know what to say now. Hi.
Hey, how are
How's
you?
it going?
Good, man. Good. What'd you think of today's race?
That was really hard. Couple moments where I probably should have died, and I was just all over the place at that race. I couldn't keep it consistent, to be honest with you. Every time I gained a little advantage, I would just look in my mirror, and Christian was getting closer and closer. And I honestly think my only saving grace was I was able to save the extra lap of fuel, and that gave me a huge overcut by about 2 seconds. So that was a nice safety barrier until I'm not sure what happened to him, but I can guess what happened considering the track we're on.
Yeah, he did have a couple of issues towards the end of the race. Fortunately, though, he was able to finish second, and that's kept things interesting for sure between the two of you. But I mean, once again, you find yourself here on the top step of the podium. Smaller field today, but it still had some pretty good battles throughout, even with you and Christian at the start.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Winning pole by just that little bit of a margin is always insane, and I've noticed, especially on this track, that regardless of the individual pace, because I wholeheartedly believe that Christian was a little bit more quicker than me, just based on consistency. It's literally just where you start. So he had the dirty air, even though he'd get in the draft. You really can't make the opportune pass unless someone makes a really big mistake coming out of Forest Elbow. So
Big dog elbow.
yeah, big dog elbow. So that's kind of my saving grace, to be honest with you, tonight. So I think that's where that dynamic came from.
Yeah, next week we go to Mosport, another track with very punishing walls that line up right across the track. With such little runoff at some of these places, that kind of impact your driving at all? You taking it maybe a little too easy?
Yeah, especially at Mosport. I would actually say that Mosport's the pinnacle example of that. Because if you go slightly too far into a corner, not only do you lose a ton of time because you're apexing at 30 kilometers an hour less than you should be, but if you go too far, then you're in the grass and then you hit a tire wall and then you get stuck. So yeah, that track's pretty unforgiving.
Yeah, that
So
grass is slippery.
oh yeah. So I mean, outside of the qualifying lap, pretty much every lap, there's no reason to give 100%. Same thing with this track. I didn't get my quickest lap until the last lap of the race because I never pushed it past the limit I was comfortable with. And yeah, like you said, it's really unforgiving, so there's no reason to push the envelope.
Well, hey, congratulations on another victory. Who helped get you here?
What was that, Chad?
I said congratulations on another victory. Who do you have to thank? Or any shout-outs for you?
Okay. I knew what you said, but I didn't catch the end, so I wanted you to repeat it for me.
You know
Just
what?
understand what I was
You
gonna
know
say.
what? Just get out of my booth.
Well, can I say thanks to people first before you give me the boot?
Of course.
Okay, so thanks to Livewire Sim Sport for all the prep and everything else. Some experience for the sponsorship. and Drive Dead Racing for the partnership, Cool Split Livery, and everyone who sponsors me, which I already said, everyone who supports me and watches me. Thank you so much. And Chad, thank you for broadcasting tonight.
Of course, and thank Ray as well. He was here the entire time too.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ray, as well. Sorry.
I thoroughly enjoyed this.
I didn't mean it like that, but
No, I thoroughly enjoyed watching this race. This was a great race.
oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Well, hey, congratulations on the win, and best of luck next week.
Yep. Thanks, guys. I'll see you.
That's Michael Janney, your winner once again here. And one other interview, Cody Cosgrove got that podium kind of towards the end of the race. What were your thoughts?
Huge recovery drive.
I didn't think I was gonna get Jack, to be honest. Like, that is one guy that is tough to pass. Like, he doesn't make it easy, that's for sure. But yeah, like, I'm glad this one's over. So there's one thing I could say.
Well, I mean, it's a relief being out of this track, but next week we got one that's just as punishing in most sports. What are your thoughts there?
That's my home track, and I've actually raced real race cars there, so hopefully that comes into play. But who knows? I'll hopefully keep this momentum going and see how it goes.
Yeah, the winner of the AM class tonight, I can't remember. Is this your first class win of the season?
No, I think it's like my fourth.
Oh, man. My brain is apparently shut off for the night. Man, it was such a fun race, especially, when you guys would come out of the pits and, you'd be right in front of or right behind somebody and just battles all throughout the race. You really didn't have much time to kind of take it easy, did you?
No, I was, well, in practice I was doing decent times, and then I don't know what happened in qualifying. I just couldn't put a lap together, so I just I just rode my race and just kept hitting my lines, and I just kept catching people. And the only, the real tough challenge I had was when I caught up to Jack and I tried passing him, and I got him on the uphill, so it was good.
Well, hey, congratulations on the class win and the fourth place finish overall next week. Of course, going to your home track, it's going to be a fun one to watch there, and I'm looking forward to it for sure. But anybody you have to thank today?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Livewire Sim Sports, Sim Experience, the wife and kid there, and who else? Obviously you guys, because you've put on a great show, and yeah, that's about it.
Well, hey, congratulations on the class win, fourth overall, and best of luck the rest of the season.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. That's Cody Cosgrove, your fourth place finisher and your AM class winner here tonight. And Ray, it's been a fantastic race. Any final thoughts from you?
I was trying the whole time during those interviews to wrap my head around the fact that if Christian Challoner wins the next 3 races in a row and Michael Janney gets second, we could actually have a dead tie. And the thing that was difficult to wrap my head around is we're actually, that's not outside the realm of possibility.
No, it is not. It's going to be a fantastic battle to the end because we know Christian's not going to give anything up. He's not going to give an inch of space these last couple of races to Michael Janney. It's going to be fun to watch, and I'm looking forward to it. And as we wrap things up here, I have to thank, of course, everyone that helps put these on. Of course, our design, as well as the Penguin RC Simulations. Of course, as always, Major's Garage, Nitro Circus, of course, Sim Racer Coin. Yep, Sim Racer Coin's been with us for how long now?
Oh, man, it's got to be 2 or 3 years now. They've been great for us.
Yeah, so plenty
really starting to hit the market, too.
Yeah, plenty of fantastic sponsors out there to help put these shows on. But next week in this series, of course, we head to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. But we do have streams on Monday and Wednesday back to the full week of events as well. Phoenix, of course, on Monday for the Rallycross drivers. And then on Wednesday, 2 in Detroit for the championship series. So definitely a full week of action here on Nitro Circus coming to you. But until then, for everybody here at NASA Nitro Circus and everybody behind the scenes here, we will see you next time on twitch.tv/Nitro Circus.